I am here. Welcome back, Saddos, to another episode of the Sitcom Archive Deep Dive Overdrive with me, Eggs Benedict.
And me, Alison Barton-Simmons.
So we're on to the 6th and penultimate episode of the first series of Dear John L.
Oh, it's. I know I say it every single series, but we've got here faster than I anticipated. But I am really enjoying it.
Yeah, it's really good. I was watching a series 2 episode the other day, actually, and to be honest, it's a little bit of a decline from series 1, I think.
Oh no!
It's still watchable, but that guy, from The Bill, Tosh.
Yes.
It was a couple of episodes with him in, and he's just really annoying.
Yeah.
But no, we'll power through when we get to them, I'm sure.
Of course we will. The ending of this series, though, I think is superb.
Oh yes, yeah. That's for next week, isn't it?
Mm.
So this episode was out on what date? I've got it written down.
The 24th of March.
Oh yeah, and it had 13.85 million viewers. All of these episodes are about 13 million viewers, aren't they?
Yeah, which I think we figured out was all right for this period, but not the heady heights of sort of the late 70s, perhaps.
But it's done okay, hasn't it? It was doing all right.
Yeah.
And of course, I think we discussed in our first episode that I'm not quite sure if the BBC ever did repeat it. My notes said they didn't, and you thought they had once.
I thought they had. I'd seen on the BBC website where it tells you what series have been out ever on the BBC, that it had been shown again around the 90s.
But it's definitely not one, you get the shows like The Good Life and Fawlty Towers get repeated ad infinitum, whereas this very rarely. However, starting yesterday, we're recording this on the 15th of February, starting yesterday on the 14th of February, of course it'll be like about 2 weeks' time before you actually hear this episode, I'm afraid, but Forces TV are now showing the whole of Dear John in full. So if you get Forces TV, you can watch it on there.
Excellent. I bet you can get it on like Sky, and it's like way back in the numbers, like 800 and something on the channels.
Yeah, you can get it on Sky, and you can get it on Freeview as well. So
brilliant.
Not that I would know because I'm out here, so I can't get it, but yeah, apparently it's on there, and it's probably going to be better quality watching it on there than it would be watching it on our website where we embed all the episodes, or indeed on Dailymotion. So if you haven't got the DVDs, that's the place to catch it. Of course, you're going to hear this after it's probably finished, so fucking useless information, isn't it?
Maybe you'll be able to go back and I don't know, maybe they've got a chance like a rewatch.
Well, they might just be repeating it over and over, because that's what channels like that do, isn't it?
Yeah, they do. Oh, fingers crossed.
I've got a little bit of trivia for you this week, Al.
All right.
In the US remake of Dear John, Ralph Dring was changed to Ralph Drang.
Why?
Your guess is as good as mine.
What's what?
Drang, presumably, is like the past participle of drink or something.
Yeah, it's been dringed. It's now dranged.
Yeah, he's Ralph Drang.
That's really odd. What an odd name to alter.
We are toying with the idea of actually doing a deep dive into just one episode of the US version, aren't we?
Yes. Yeah, I'd be interested. Have you ever seen any of them? Have you ever watched it?
Just clips on YouTube.
Right, okay. Yeah. I'd be interested to see it.
Yeah, maybe we'll do another sort of mashup episode with some of our friends somewhere.
That'd be fun,
If we can find any. If we can get any friends. We're just like John, desperate for someone to invite us.
We'll have to go to a one-to-one club to find someone to come and give us a hand.
We'll have to do it with the operator. like he did.
Is it not a Mrs. Lemensky lurking round the door?
What's that jingly jangling?
It's my pen keeps hitting me mug, sorry. Ever professional.
We thought we'd have a discussion this week before we got stuck in, because we've done this with our previous... Oh, did we do it with both? With The Good Life and Fawlty Towers, where we discussed...
I think so.
Where we discussed who you would pick if you were remaking the show. I mean, Fawlty Towers and Good Life don't need to be remade, and let's hope they never do. Dear John, perhaps, is one that's a bit more obscure and a lot of people won't have saw, so maybe.
Yeah.
But who would you cast as John if you were the showrunner?
If I had the choice, if I had the option of who to cast as John, I couldn't not think about him once I'd thought it, and it was Martin Freeman, because he is that everyman, that air of calm and authority, a bit world wearily, just tired, just someone that's a bit tired.
Yeah, he's got ball bag eyes like me, hasn't he?
He's just thinking about it as Tim in The Office, just a bit put on and a bit of a, not a sad sack, but just a bit stuck.
Yeah, do you think he'd do it in a Scouse accent like he did in that recent BBC thing?
I hope not.
Hey, Kirk! Go down the 1-to-1 club, lad! Might not work.
My other option that I chose was Russell Tovey.
Oh, yeah.
I think he's a bit of an everyman as well.
Yeah, I know he is, and he's been in lots of things, but I've only seen him in a few things.
Good actor.
Pointy out ears, isn't he? He's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know him.
That's him. What about you? Did you choose anybody for John?
Well, I got two, but one of them's dead, so it's not going to happen. But
right, okay.
I just thought he'd be good. The recently departed, sadly deceased Paul Ritter.
Yes.
I think
that's a good shout.
He would be good as John. He is he was an excellent actor, even beyond comedic roles. He's just a really, really good actor.
Yeah.
And I think he'd be able to give John that sort of anchor thing that Ralph Bates did.
Yep.
And the other one I got is a little bit of a left field one, is Alex Lowe.
Oh, who's that?
He's been in so many things, but the thing he's probably most known for, and he does a podcast based on this character now, is Clinton Baptiste, the psychic.
Oh, of course. I do know Clinton Baptiste.
He's also... he's been in loads of sitcoms through the years. Often not the main character, but he's a very talented guy, and I think he could similarly ground the show.
Okay.
I mean, he actually usually does the more out there characters, but I don't know.
Okay.
I just sort of saw him as being a potential John.
Excellent.
What about Kate?
Oh. Jinx.
Oh well, I would say Daisy Haggard could maybe be Kate.
That's a good shout. I think she could.
I can see her delivering those ratty, not passive aggressive, just outright aggressive lines to Kirk.
Yeah.
Rather well. I think she'd be okay. What about you?
I had two. My first one was Sally Hawkins, who was Mrs. Brown from Paddington, because she's quite.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's just a great actress, so I think she would be able to turn a hand at sort of both sides of Kate. And Joanne Froggatt, who has been in loads of things. She was in Corrie. She was like really feisty in Corrie.
Married to Thingy, wasn't she? Ashley.
She was. And then in Downton Abbey, she's quite reasonable and calm and relaxed. So I could see her being able to attempt both sides of Kate's character.
I like Joanne Froggatt. She's kind of one of those, a bit like Alex Lowe, who's been in tons of sitcoms in just sort of bit part roles. She was in The Royal Family, wasn't she, as Anthony's wife or fiancée in the latter years.
Was she really? Was that not Sheridan Smith?
I'm pretty sure it was Joanne Froggatt.
Sheridan Smith did play the girl with the dreadlocks who was the vegetarian.
Oh, no, that's right. Yeah, no, but this is later, like almost in the last
is
ever
it?
ones, Joanne Froggatt.
Okay.
Yeah.
She's fab.
Yeah, I agree. In fact, I think she's probably now inched out Daisy Haggard. So sorry, Daisy, you're not getting the job.
See, that's it.
For Louise, who have you got?
For Louise, I just listed a lot of very well-spoken British actresses.
Okay.
Shall I just list them?
Go on.
They're all, you could see them all. So Olivia Colman.
Yeah.
Emily Blunt.
Wow, too hot though, isn't she?
Okay. Helena Bonham Carter.
Oh, yeah.
Kristen Scott Thomas.
Yeah.
I don't know why I've got Celia Imrie in there as well. I'm not really sure why.
She's a bit old, isn't she? I mean, she's probably the same age as
an older
Rachel
actor,
Bell.
Perhaps. I think out of that list, I would go Kristen Scott Thomas. I think she gives me Louise vibes.
Yeah. No, I would say that's the that's the pick of your bunch there.
Best of the pick. Go on, who've you got?
Well, first of all, I wrote down Rebecca Front, but I think I mentioned her for another role.
Oh, yeah. No, I think she's got Louise vibes as well.
She could do it. She's great. And then I thought Sharon Horgan could probably do that role justice. Because it's quite a hammy role, and she's good at those type of roles, isn't she?
She is good at hammy, yeah. I've just seen her recently in... Oh, it's on Netflix. And it's a show about a young gay lad in a school, and she's a teacher.
Right.
She's got that like air of authority about her when she talks, and she's. You often see her quite downtrodden, and she's not in this. She's quite bolshy, so I think she would be quite good at it.
Yeah, I don't know. She's quite sassy, and I could see her delivering, the famous "Were there any sexual problems?" line with some gratification.
Yeah,
titillation.
I can hear it.
Yep. So who should we do next? Should we do Ralphie?
Yeah, let's do Ralph.
I've got Mark Heap.
Right.
Again, another sitcom actor. Tons and tons of things. I think he'd be good. Is that sort of weird? He often plays weird characters. When you think of what's that one? The Green something that he was in the hospital with Tamsin Gregg and the Green something. I'm having a brain fart here.
Is it not the Green? Not the Green Ward, the Green Room, the Green.
The Green something. Everyone knows what we're talking about.
I know which one you mean. Yeah.
And of course, Friday Night Dinner. He was the weird neighbour. He'd be great in a sort of weird, sad sack role. I can imagine him saying "Boogaloo."
Yeah.
Behind the
with
wheels.
His little jacket on. Oh, bless him.
What about you?
I got Taron Egerton.
Oh yeah.
For Ralph, I think just because I've seen him in that film about Elton John and Eddie the Eagle. He plays a kind of bespectacled,
gives good glasses,
geeky character. he gives good glasses. He does. He gives me the Ralph feelings. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see him on a motorcycle combination.
I think so. Yeah. He might overplay it a bit though. Try and take over.
That's the danger of Mark Heap as well, actually. Yeah.
Oh.
This is where we need a good director. We didn't think of casting a director. Oh.
No.
So who's got the difficult job of taking over from the renowned spy, Kirk St. Moritz?
Oh, I've got 3 names here, and I'm not really sure about any of them now.
Okay.
However, I will... Right, so I've got Chris O'Dowd.
Tom
Hiddleston.
Ugh.
No.
What a visceral reaction that was from me.
But I think he might take over a little bit.
He loves himself, that dude.
He does. He knows his fate, doesn't he?
If he could lick and eat himself, he would, I think.
He would. I think he would. Kit Harington. He was Jon Snow in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I know that sort of like the Jon Snow character, which is really the only place I've seen him, is very understated.
Yeah.
I know he's a good egg, isn't he? Really,
yeah.
Jon Snow.
Yeah, he's a good egg.
But I think he could play the Kirk character. I think he could for some reason.
He's a bit of a short arse, though, isn't he?
That's all right.
For Kirk, well, I suppose, yeah. What else has he done other than? Oh, he was in Pompeii, wasn't he? I know he said up Pompeii then. Oh, Mrs. Oh no. That's a different show. He's in the film Pompeii. No, I'm not on board.
I haven't seen that. No. Go on, who have you got then for Kirk?
Well, you might not be on board with mine. I've got 2. I've got Peter Serafinowicz.
Yeah. Oh, right, okay.
I could definitely see him giving it the sleazy element of Kirk's character well.
Yeah.
And I've got Dan Skinner, who is Angelos Epitimou and things like that.
Yeah, I love him.
He's great, isn't he?
I think he's brilliant. Yeah. Because despite the fact that the character he plays is quite gruesome and grotesque, isn't he, really? He's quite a grotesque character. I think as an actor, he's massively handsome, so I think it would work really well.
Yeah, he is a handsome guy, yeah, when he's not greased up and carrying around a Sainsbury's bag, yeah.
He could play Ralph, actually. He could split, do 2 roles. He could take on Ralph as...
Well, of course, spoiler alert, I know, but when Kirk is not Kirk, when he's his other alter ego, he's a bit Ralph-esque, isn't he?
A little bit.
So there's not actually that much to choose between them, really, in one way.
Yeah, when he's Eric.
So I don't know who we're picking out of that sorry lot.
I know, it's a combination. Maybe we could have like an arm off one and a leg off the other and the head of one of them.
Well, I'll create a poll on our Facebook group and see who gets the vote, shall I?
Yeah.
Who's your ideal Kirk? And then finally for Mrs. Arnott, who have you got? Or did you not do one?
I did. I got Pam Ferris.
Ooh, I like that, yeah.
Or Miriam Margolyes, who might be a bit too bolshy.
Well, she's a very good actress, Miriam Margolyes.
She is. She plays bolshy very well.
But I'm sure that she could take direction and sit there just with a hat on quite well. But it almost seems a waste of Miriam Margolyes, doesn't it?
A waste of Miriam Margolyes, yeah.
Given her other comedic strings to her bow. I've got Martha Howard Douglas, from the Gang of Idiots or whatever they're called.
I don't know her.
You will do. She's Lady Button in Ghosts.
Oh, I do know her. Yeah, of course I do. Yes, that's a good shout.
She could sit there doing the faces, because that character just does the best faces on TV.
She does.
Lady Button.
She does. She's reacting a lot of the time, isn't she? And she's brilliant.
I only have to see that character's face and I start smiling, or even just laughing out loud. I think she's brilliant.
Brilliant. Yeah. Good shout.
Yeah. Oh, God. Tell you what. We should be casting directors.
We should. As long as we can just take the arms off one and the head off somebody else and create a mega Kirk.
Yeah. Or, in the case of some of our selections, have totally unrealistic targets who are Hollywood A-listers. And will never take a job playing fucking Ralph in Dear John.
In the remake of Dear John. That's not even real.
Oh, well, there we go. That was a exercise in the pointless as usual.
I like that. Excellent.
Shall we get stuck into this episode, which I don't think we mentioned, but is actually called The 14-Year Itch. Let's do it.
Dear John, by the time you read these lines, I'll be gone. Life goes on, right or wrong. Now it's all been said and done, dear John. Seems we've sung love's last song, dear John.
So this week's episode, it starts, John's at school again this week, isn't he? We see him coming out of the school, but he's been training some kids in PE. He's been covering for a skiving PE teacher who is constantly having his cartilage removed, apparently.
Yeah, what's going on there?
Ken comes along and starts talking to John. He was in the Last But One episode celebrating his 19-year wedding anniversary, wasn't
he? That's a bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah. It was a party which John couldn't get a date for, but in this episode, Ken is fishing for John's Monday report, which is basically John's start of the week bullshit that he reports to Ken about the debauchery that's occurred at the one-to-one club.
Yeah.
Completely fabricated debauchery.
Ken sounds like he gets off on this. He loves the mythical stories that John comes up with about all the... He makes it sound like a blooming orgy, doesn't he?
He does, yeah, but Ken remarks that sex with his wife, Maggie, is a case of lights off, vest on.
Yeah.
Which is a strange way of putting it. Lights off, vest on. Would you not take your vest off?
I think it's to sort of illustrate the fact that it's not great. If someone's putting the vest back on, it just sounds a bit...
Yeah, a bit perfunctory.
Yeah.
Well, he's living vicariously through John, isn't he, really?
He is.
John doesn't seem like he's being explicit, or maybe he is off camera, sort of thing.
Mm.
We don't know how explicit John's lies are. We said he's not so bad in the first episode, but he's a bit of a porky teller, isn't he?
He can spin a tale, can't he, for his own advantage, to get people to like him.
Which is all that Kirk's doing in a more rambunctious way.
It is. He's just more overt, isn't he? I think John's just... Yeah, it's quite a sad little people-pleasing exercise, isn't it?
Back at the one-to-one club, Louise is delivering some club news to a completely disinterested room. Melanie Haddock's Gangsters Moles party has been postponed. Oh.
Sad news.
Shame. But she's been trying to organise a new dance event, but she can't use the town hall due to a spot of bother. Last time she sort of makes eyes at Kirk.
Do you think it was the last party that they had?
Well, I don't know, but Kirk says, I didn't start that. She threw the first punch.
Oh, dear.
So, yeah. Hashtag different times almost, really, there, isn't it? Kirk's been going around smacking women.
smacking women. He doesn't learn though, because is he not throwing something later on in was it like the other episode when he was throwing nuts?
Oh, at Mrs. Arnott, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he's the type of character to learn from his mistakes.
No.
There's also a barbecue planned at one of the Monday night people's home, and the Friday night crew have to bring a pig.
I thought I had to rewind this and listen a couple of times because I wasn't sure that's what I heard. But yeah, they have to bring a pig. What happened? Why can't you just take burgers?
Yeah.
Sausages.
Yeah.
Pre-prepared pig. Why are you taking a pig?
Spit roast, yeah.
It's very odd.
I was surprised that Kirk didn't take the opportunity to make a joke about somebody's looks or something, really. But
absolutely. Oh, there is a spit roast joke there that's just begging. Although, I don't know, maybe that wasn't an appropriate point of reference in 1986, maybe.
No, but certainly a pig joke about, oh, well, we've got enough pigs here would have worked.
I'll take one of these.
But he doesn't say that, but there is a lot of passive-aggressive back and forth, as usual, between Kirk and Kate at this point.
Yeah.
There's some good lines. Kirk says, like Shakespeare said, virginity is like a balloon, one bang and it's gone forever.
Yes. There's a missed opportunity there for a prick joke, I think.
Yeah. And Shakespeare wouldn't have missed it. He was a right dirty bastard, wasn't he? Pork sword would have been used, actually, with a pig.
Yeah.
Do you know what's weird here, though? Kirk quoting Shakespeare isn't something you would expect from that character, is it?
No, that's true.
It's a little bit out of character for Kirk to be quoting Shakespeare, I think. There's a sort of look exchange between Mrs. Arnott and Louise, so maybe they're thinking the same thing, like, has he read Shakespeare?
Maybe, yeah.
So, but they've got this pig problem. They need to bring a pig, and Ralph offers to pick it up in his motorcycle combination.
I thought this was brilliant. The fact that he said that it can sit in the sidecar, which already made me laugh.
Yeah. The
idea of a pig sat in the sidecar. But then Louise says, well, it would look funny riding pillion, which made me laugh even more. And it was that sort of John Sullivan line 'em up.
Yeah.
Gag at the end.
Second punchline, third punchline.
Brilliant, yeah. Really, really sort of sharp and short and clever.
Well, to be honest, I don't know if they ever get to the bottom of who's going to pick up this pig, because it seems like a logistical nightmare to me. But the story gets diverted into talk of Ralph reinvesting his redundancy money into a new business enterprise.
Yeah, the most unlikely of ventures, I think, for someone like Ralph. It's as a second-hand mobile discotheque owner. He's gonna be a DJ.
Yeah, I think second-hand is just that added bit of extra sadness to it, isn't it? He hasn't even bought himself a new one.
You can picture it. It's shabby. It's dented. It's scratched.
Some of the lights don't work.
Oh God, poor Ralph.
But everyone's incredulous, and understandably so, that Ralph is a DJ. But Kirk, he is looking after his mate here, which may get him an MVP at the end of this, because he suggests to Ralph he could DJ the dance that Louise is planning, which is quite caring of Kirk, isn't it, to think of his friend?
A good idea, and he's really sort of trying to help him with his confidence and to push him into doing this, not in a negative way, but in a you can do this kind of way.
Yeah, in a sort of twisted way. He is a good friend to Ralph, which is, as we've said before, what makes him redeemable. He's trying. He's just his execution is always so clumsy.
Yeah.
But I mean, Louise isn't having any of this, as she's saying. Just because he has a pair of swimming trunks, it doesn't make him a pile driver. Did you say pile driver?
I think she did. I think she did say pile driver there.
I could pick it up in my motorcycle combination.
Thank you very much, Rafe.
Yeah, I could put the pig in the sidecar.
Well, it would look rather silly riding pillion, wouldn't it? So, when's a convenient time for you, dear?
Any time at all. I'm not at work. I was made redundant, remember?
Oh, yes. You're unemployed, aren't you?
Well, I'm more self-employed. You see, I've invested all my redundancy money into a new business venture.
You've invested all your money? What have you done, Ralph?
I've bought myself a second-hand mobile discotheque.
Second-hand?
Well, that was a wise move, Ralph.
That's what the man who sold it to me said.
Your mobile discotheque?
Yes.
You're a DJ?
Yes.
Have you got any bookings?
No.
Hey, wait a minute, people. I've been thinking.
That's what that noise was.
You're organising a dance over the local pub. Ralph's got a mobile discotheque. Put the two together, what do you get?
I shudder to think. You're not suggesting that Reef should be our disc jockey for the evening?
Well, why not?
Because Reef is not a disc jockey.
He's got all the equipment.
He's probably got a pair of swimming trunks. That doesn't make him a pearl diver.
So when Louise and Mrs. Arnott disappear for coffee, Kirk tries to coach Ralph into acting with more charm and persuasion in order to convince Louise to give him this gig. And he says, well,
Yes.
you could try smiling. And he fixes this.
He pushes his little face.
Yeah, he's got this sort of plastered, creepy smile fixed to his face to try and convince Louise. And this is while they're out the room, this is where Ken unexpectedly turns up to John's horror.
Yeah, he's horrified. He's panicked. He thinks that something's happened to Wendy and Toby, because that would be the only reason that Ken would be there, as John sort of feels. But it turns out that Ken wants to join the group. Oh, I can imagine how this would make John feel.
Yeah, he's having a horrible time of it, isn't he?
Yes.
He's forced to introduce them, and he says, Kate, Ken, Kate, Kirk, Ken, Kirk. And Ken says he felt it was time he came down and joined the club. And he says, you know how I've been since my divorce.
Oh, he's a baddie, isn't he, Ken?
He's a wrong un, isn't he?
Men can be such brutes.
He spins Kirk and Kate a sob story about how ostracised he's felt since his divorce. And Kate's lapping this up. She's really sympathising with Ken, isn't she? She's, oh, poor guy, you know.
Yeah. Oh, John has a word with him, though, in private to try and convince him to not stay. He tries to talk him out of coming along in future. But Ken says he just wants a bit of action. But then John does admit that he has exaggerated.
Yeah, but he's not listening, is he?
Ken doesn't believe him at all. Ken just thinks that he's trying to get him to leave and talk him out of it. But he wants fun. He doesn't want to leave Maggie and the kids. He just wants a bit of fun.
Yeah, because he's been seduced by John's stories of Filipino twins and a woman in a sunken bath.
What? Where would you be seeing this?
Ken's got 5 kids, and he's been married 19 years. We know this from 2 weeks ago, when it was his 19-year party anniversary.
Yeah.
So why is this episode called A 14-Year Itch?
I don't know. How very random, because it's... do you think that's just a not a mistype, but just a mislabeling, because it's 19 years.
Yeah.
It's not 14.
14's... the expression is a 7-year itch, so
Yeah.
it might have been, oh, well, this is twice as much, because he's been married longer. But why not Why not have him celebrating his 14th wedding anniversary?
Yes.
Or even his 21st or something.
I think there's some missing thing there, I think.
Who are we to question? John Sullivan, though, I suppose.
John Sullivan,
We're probably missing something obvious again, like normal. A couple of bell ends. Louise comes back in, and at this point, she's agreeing to give Ralph the gig if he stops following her around with that ridiculous chimpanzee grin. John introduces Ken to Louise, who encourages Ken to introduce himself to the group. She gives it, hi, Ken, doesn't she?
She does. Tell us about yourself.
So it made me think of Barbie Girl by Aqua. A little bit. And Ken says he's been divorced for about a year, and he and his wife drifted apart, leading to Louise asking the usual question.
Were there any sexual problems?
And when he says no, she's immediately bored and not interested anymore. But at this point, the bastard then starts saying it was because his missus couldn't have kids.
Yeah.
And she's got 5. Well, he's got 5 that he's effectively disowning at this point. Kirk says, did you have her tubes looked at?
God, he's just so blunt, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's obviously trying to... perhaps he's not always trying to make a joke of everything. I just think sometimes he's just so socially awkward that he struggles to ask the right questions in the right way.
Yeah, he does seem like he was genuinely inquiring rather than taking the piss. Yeah.
Oh.
While Ken's spinning this increasingly elaborate tale, John's just wincing at these awful lies, isn't he? He's going, oh, Ken. A bit like Deirdre Barlow, that one. Oh, Ken. This is rapidly becoming my platform for impersonations, but I can do an impersonation of Blanche Hunt in Corrie.
Okay.
But only the one word. You can. It's good, eh?
10 out of 10.
It's no Boise like.
It's not, no.
Louise is moved by Ken's lies, as is Ralph, whose wife didn't understand him because she was Polish.
Because she was Polish. I love that. That was a good punchline.
And then Mrs. Arnott pipes up, doesn't she? She says that when she told her husband she was leaving him, he started drinking heavily.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure was going to lead to some sort of punchline, because that's what usually happens when Mrs. Arnott pipes up and says something. But it was actually just a method of getting a sort of sidebar, if you like, between Kate and Ken, so they could have their little private conversation while the group carried on talking about Mrs. Arnott's husband's drinking. I wanted to know more about that.
Yes. And then they end up going to the pub, so the obvious discussion of this poor guy starting drinking after they've broken up.
Yeah.
Then, yeah, it triggers that, should we go to the pub?
Yeah, that seemed to be what they did every week. I once went to a Gamblers Anonymous meeting in Liverpool when I was bad on the old fruities.
Yeah.
When I was at uni. I tell you what, it was enough to put me off gambling for life. God.
Really?
But my point is that, you know where they held it? In a church opposite the Grosvenor Casino.
Oh, God. That's often the case where you find places like that in really inappropriate spots.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. So did they just, come out of the meeting and go straight across the road?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah. I was invited. But, I mean, I wasn't that sort of gambler. I was more like the fruit machines. I wasn't far down the path, but you did some real, my heart went out to a lot of them. And especially because they brought their partners with them. They were all men.
Yeah.
This was the 90s. And they brought women with them, their girlfriends or partners. And they went into a separate room for their sort of support meeting.
Yeah, like an Al-Anon equivalent, but for gamblers.
Exactly. But the two rooms were separated by a little hatch, right? Okay. And one of these Scouse wags opens up the door and goes, I'll have 15 quid. 15 quid each way on a 315.
Oh my God.
I know. It was enough to put me off gambling.
Oh no. Not working the programme there.
We do call this Gamblers Anonymous, and now I'm telling all the tales. So that's me in the Black Bald. So in the pub, as you say, they're in the pub, and Kirk is giving Ralph another pep talk, telling him he needs a personality.
Yeah, bless him. He needs to develop a personality because he doesn't have one. Again, very blunt.
Now listen closely, Ralphie. In just over a week from today, you make your debut as a DJ right here in this magnificent auditorium. Now, you've got a hell of a lot of work to do, my man. We've got to get you a personality.
Why?
Because you haven't got one. At this moment in time, Ralphie, you are boring. Boring, boring, boring. Yeah. Now, the chicks are going to come in here expecting to find some sort of record Rambo. A disc jockey who is somewhere between John Travolta and Richard Gere. And what are they going to get?
Me.
And that's about as much fun as gangrene.
I'll see the problem, Kirk.
Oh, because he will listen to him. I think he'll listen to Kirk. I think he takes what Kirk says as being really important and something that he could use, especially if he wants to be more of a personality, more successful sort of socially. He probably sees Kirk as being the pinnacle of all that.
Yeah, he's looking up to him. In fact, you can see, if this had gone on to a third series, you can see him trying to remake him in his image.
Yes.
Like the full Tony Manero outfit on Ralph.
God, he would. He would. I find this a bit of a meta moment, actually. Kirk tells Ralph that he needs to be a cross between, I think he meant John Travolta and Richard Gere.
Oh yeah, and he says Gere, doesn't he?
But he calls him Richard Gere. And I didn't know whether that was, because surely as a director you'd hear that and go, you've said it wrong.
No, that must have been scripted. I think it's a bit like Del Boy's spoonerisms,
Yeah, just unaware, really. I suppose we find out that perhaps he is unaware. He's obviously, he hears stuff and he parrots it, and it doesn't really mean anything because it's not really him. It's not really what he knows and believes. But the John Travolta thing, I found it was like ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, he's actually said the person he's parodying here, yeah.
Yeah.
Bloody hell, Ralphie, what a dreadful kitchen.
So Kirk says his clothes make him look like a sack of infested kidney beans floating on a cesspit.
Oh.
Poor Ralph. But then they start to brainstorm names, don't they?
Yes, for his mobile disco.
Yeah, what can he call himself that gives him a bit more pizzazz and is a bit more catchy?
I loved Ralph's suggestion was Ralph Dring's mobile discotheque.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant.
Well, then later on he says, what about Keith?
Oh, poor Ralphie.
But adjacent to this discussion, Kate and Ken are getting up to leave to go, and they're going to go and get something to eat together now. And John's trying to warn Kate off, but can't get her away from Ken.
Yeah.
And John's very flustered at this point. He's like, oh, God, this is awful. You know, his new friend's going off with his old friend, and he's worried about, no doubt, his relationship with Ken's wife as well.
Yeah.
Who we see later on. So Kate and Ken leave, and John goes and sits with Ralph and Kirk. And they try and get him involved in the brainstorming session. And inexplicably, Kirk suggests Darren.
Yeah.
And that's, if anything, that's almost as bad as Keith and Ralph, isn't it? Darren isn't an exciting name.
Is it perhaps part of like using it as like disco, Darren?
Like alliteration.
Yeah, maybe. And I think Darren in like sort of 86 perhaps was a quite modern name, a quite
right
trendy name perhaps.
So who would have made that flavour of the month? Darren Day?
I don't know. He was a bit young, weren't he? But I know sort of quite a few Darrens that would have been around, like born in the 70s.
Yeah, I've always thought it was a bit of a wank name, to be honest.
Really? Ah, right. I know it feels of a time, but I do think it's to do with the disco Darren.
Yeah, perhaps.
Alliteration
so.
name.
Ralph and Kirk think John is jealous, don't they?
Yeah, I wondered that though.
I think he's just worried about the fallout from this and Kate getting hurt. But John confides in them that he tells them both that Ken isn't divorced and he's married with 5 kids.
Yeah.
And Ralph states the obvious. He says, do you know what I think? I think he's lying to Kate.
Ding, ding. You're right, Ralph.
And John says Ken was dazzling her with his story of misery, and that's what gives Kirk the idea for dazzling Darren Dring, the mobile disco.
Yeah, maybe it's Darren as well for the Dring, for the surname.
Darren, yes.
Darren Dring's got triple alliteration there, hasn't it?
And that's decided. So it cuts to an outside shot now of John, presumably the next day at a boozer, or even later in the week.
Yeah.
And we see Ken and Kate arrive outside the pub, strolling along arm in arm. They're clearly
like a couple, like a proper couple.
Yeah. I thought that's happened quick, but I think John says something about your dates are getting earlier and earlier, so this must be a week or so later even.
Right, so they've seen each other a few times then.
Yeah, they've been getting closer, and apparently last night Ken stayed over at Kate's.
Yikes.
And then she says, he's the best thing that's happened to me in a long time, and I trust him. I have you to thank, she says to John. Oh, God.
Oh, no, it's getting worse.
So John's really having a crisis at this point, but as he goes to head into the bar to find Ken says nothing happened last night. He thinks maybe she's a bit frigid. So that's good, really, isn't it? Because it might have been even more heartbreak for poor Kate if they'd gone further. They settle down together to have a chat, these 3. And then who should turn up with 5 kids in tow? But Maggie.
The wonderful Maggie.
Played by Sue Holderness.
Yes, we've seen her before.
We have, yeah. Shall I do it?
Yeah.
No, I don't want to now. I feel like I'm overplaying it.
Put you on the spot.
Yeah, I'm overplaying it. So Ken runs away before he is spotted, and Marlene marches over.
There she is.
Demanding to know where Ken is. What's happened here is Ken's used John as his alibi for the previous night for not coming home. So she's blaming John now for filling Ken's head with nonsense and sordid sex life stuff, and she's giving him both barrels, isn't she?
She is. Outside the pub.
In front of her 5 spawn as well.
Yeah. Can I just ask something about Marlene, about Sue Holderness?
Yeah.
She was playing both these parts at the same time in works by the same writer.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
That's really confusing. That's a really odd thing to do, I think, isn't it? That you'd be recognised as one character, but then a different character, but in the same sitcom.
Well, it's not the same universe, though, is it? Oh, well, I suppose it could be. We could have had a crossover episode where they hired the Nag's Head or something.
It just struck me as unusual for an actor to do that.
Well, you get actors who are like very much muse of a particular director.
Yeah. By the same writer, it just felt like, oh, right, okay. And she's great, so.
She is great, yeah. She's great in Full Snoses as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if this would have been on at the same time, literally. I think Fool's Horses did have a few years off before it came back, when there was almost like a delineation point between, I mean, obviously you've got the Grandad years and the Uncle Albert years, but then it was off air for a bit and it came back and Del was a yuppie. And that I think it'd been off air for a few years. Maybe this was during that period. Not sure.
Well, it said that she was Marlene from 85 to 2003, and this was 86. But it could have been like, I suppose it could have been an off time.
I want to know what the hell is going on. He's got another woman, hasn't he? We've got a right to know. I am his wife. These are his children.
Yes. Hello, kids.
Hello, Uncle John.
This is all you're doing.
Me? Oh, come on, Maggie.
You filled his head up with all those stories about your wild sex life. He used to come home and tell me all about it. The woman with the sunken bath and the bottle of matey. The Filipino twins. And then you persuaded him to go with you to that rotten club of yours. Well, I hope you're satisfied.
Maggie, please, I didn't persuade anyone to do anything.
Kate's also furious with John because she says to him, his threat to me didn't quite take, did it? And then she storms off. And John, he's done nothing wrong other than bullshit to his mate. It's all on Ken, isn't it?
He's made the decision to do this.
Although, if she's been seeing him for a week, John's had the opportunity to warn her.
I just think he's a bit spineless, John. I think, even despite the fact that we do like him and we think he's a good egg.
Do you think it's split loyalties as well, though? Because... Yeah, this is an old friend of his, isn't it? Although his last old friend stole his wife, so... I mean, he needs to pick his friends better, I think, this guy.
Yeah, I think he does.
John makes his way home, and then Ken screeches to a halt in front of him and doorsteps him. Doorsteps him, yeah. And calls him a bastard, accusing him of grassing him up.
Dun, dun, dun.
So from this, we work out that someone's called Maggie and dobbed him in, basically, to use an Antipodean phrase. It doesn't take much to work out who that might have been, because didn't the person who called say he's seeing some other chick?
So, yeah, it's dead obvious, isn't it, who's done it?
Yeah. So at this point, we cut to the pub and Ralph's disco's in full swing. I love these scenes.
He's only got one record, though, and he's played Shakin' Stevens' Green Door 14 times.
Do that funky thing.
And he's just prowling around behind the wheels in like a shiny Ben Elton looking suit.
Yeah.
Looking every inch not the DJ.
Oh dear.
And he's sort of punctuating his records with little sort of sound bites that Kirk's fed him, such as "Feel that funky beat," "Get on down,"
Boogaloo.
Boogaloo's my favourite.
Oh, bless him.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't be impressed if you'd booked that, would you?
No, you wouldn't. Not at all.
This, even though I knew it was coming, I'd seen it before, this made me wonder whether, and I don't know if you remember this scene, but in Father Ted, which is my favourite sitcom ever,
yeah,
there was a scene where Father Billy O'Dwyer brought in, and Dougal says, "Great, the Spin Master." He's the only guy who could DJ, and he's brought in, and it turns out, for this raffle or whatever Ted's doing, it turns out he's only brought one record with him, which is, I think it was Ghost Town by the Specials, and he just keeps playing it over and over and over again.
I'd prefer that to Green Door, I think.
Oh, God, yeah. But I'm just wondering whether Graham Lennon and Arthur Matthews sort of set up this priest as like
an homage.
Yeah, an homage to Ralph Dring's Mobile Disco.
Maybe.
Oh, sorry, Dazzling Darren.
Dazzling, yeah.
Maybe. This isn't really disco related, but for some reason it popped into my head that some friends of mine went to Glastonbury a few years ago. You know, like, you've obviously got your main stage. There's all sorts of shit going on at Glastonbury. I've never been.
Yeah.
But you've also got, like, the little tents for the more obscure stuff.
Yeah.
And you can go and see. You've always got spoiled for choice. You can always go and see something.
There's loads on offer, yeah.
So they didn't like it was on the main stage or the pyramid stage or whatever it is. So they went into this tent where there was all this sort of African music playing.
Right.
And it was full of sort of Guardian readers stroking their chin, and
Okay.
and they were they were not really enjoying it and thought it was a bit pretentious, this world music that was playing. And then one of the lads who's a bit of a knob, after one song ended, he went, "Play what we know."
Oh my God.
They all wanted the ground to swallow them up.
Oh, I bet they did as well.
It's the sort of thing I'd like to see as a fly on the wall, but I wouldn't want to be
But yeah, not be
associated.
part of it. Yeah. Oh, jeez.
It's a great thing to shout in a world music tent.
Boogaloo.
Well, Mrs. Arnott loves Dazzling Darren, doesn't she? She thinks it's great.
She does. She's got a cocktail in her hand. She's a bit pissed.
Yeah.
She has a right good time at these dudes, doesn't she?
Yeah. And I think she's got an affection for Kirk and Ralph and everyone as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think she loves the group. She loves the members, and I think she does really, truly see them as friends. Which is sweet.
So John turns up demanding an explanation from Kirk at this point, and Kirk says, "What makes you think it was me, Guy?" And John says, "Well, the caller said you sounded like an idiot." and Kirk actually goes, "Oh, yeah."
Oh, I did like the fact, though, that he said, I didn't want to see him messing Tiger up.
Yeah, he says the creepy guy would have messed Tiger up. And he's actually got a decent radar. He knows this guy's not legit. I guess it's like game recognises game, as they say.
Possibly.
So, so he looked him up in the book and phoned up his missus and dobbed him in. The flaming galal. John wants to know why he'd do anything for Kate, because they fight all the time. And this is where Kirk admits for the first time he actually likes Kate a little bit.
Yes.
He wants some advice from John, because he says he thinks that Kate is looking for a wimp, so you might be able to help me out.
Oh, but then this made me a bit frustrated, thinking what the thing that's to come, which we will talk about next week.
Yeah.
It makes sense to me.
Yeah, if he was just more genuine,
just a bit genuine and chill about it all.
But John's advice is just basically try being nice, stop calling her frigid and everything.
Yes, makes sense.
His idea of wooing a woman is almost like a schoolboys, where you just like are mean to girls. They notice you, isn't it? Throw sticks at her until she keeps paying me attention.
Yeah, that's it. And it's an odd premise, that, isn't it? It's like, no, hashtag different times, isn't it? No, it's like, if someone's pulling your hair and pushing you on the floor, yeah, you don't take that as that they like you, because nice people don't do things like that.
No, well, there's a bit more of an enlightened time for the victims of abusive relationships as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
they know
you don't need to put up with that.
They know terms like gaslighting and what's on and what's not on. Not in every instance, but to a more extent than probably in the 1980s.
Of course. When Kate arrives, though, Kirk says to her, "Hi, Tiger, you're looking nice. Lovely outfit. I heard a creepy guy dumped you."
And went back to his wife and kids.
So he, gives it with one hand and takes it away with the other.
She explodes, though, doesn't she?
She does.
She's really venomous.
Does she call him a pusshead?
She calls him, I've written it down here, she calls him the most pathetically witless, boring, objectionable, loathsome, foul-brained, festering sore that ever climbed out from beneath a slimy stone.
That's harsh, isn't it? That's full on.
Yeah. The little boy in Kirk probably thinks, she's paying me attention.
Yeah.
Sad, isn't it?
She likes me.
Sad.
But that she's panicking. All she's panicking about is that John and Kirk have been laughing at her.
Yeah.
Behind her back, which is understandable, isn't it? You would draw that conclusion, perhaps.
But Kirk actually says, "It worked. I thought she was going to say no," because he's asking her out.
Yeah.
And she didn't say no. She just slagged him off and called him all those things. And the idiot thinks, "Oh, well, that's progress."
Dear.
Dear, oh dear. This is why it's known as a depressing sitcom, isn't it? Because
a little bit.
All of the characters are just really so broken and damaged in these ways that it's almost not comedic, but because you've got such a great gag writer, it's funny despite all those things, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's the end of that one, isn't it?
Seems we've sung love's last song, dear John.
Again, it ended on a really odd note. There's no real resolution to anything.
No. Presumably they all had a nice night listening to one record by Shakin' Stevens
Green
and then
Door.
went home, yeah.
Yeah. I wanted to see Ken get his comeuppance. I wanted to see the retribution. I wanted to see Kate get her own back on him. I don't know how.
Well, we do get Ken and Maggie. In fact, Maggie's in season 2 a lot.
Yeah.
Series 2. Bloody hell. Come on, Ben. You're not American. Yeah, Maggie's in it more, presumably because she had the week off from Fools and Horses.
Yeah.
So we'll get to see how their marriage pans out in a few weeks' time. I didn't get any bric-a-brac this week, did you?
I didn't. No.
Well, that was quick then, wasn't it?
The end.
That's that done. I'll see you next week. No, well, we might as well do Fashion Corner then, Al.
I've got some of that. There's plenty of that. Yeah, there's loads of that this time.
Let's do it. Boogaloo.
Whatever happened to those clothes we wore? It seems we never wear those clothes no more. Fashion Corner.
At the start of this episode, when John's been standing in as a PE teacher for the teacher that's not in school at the moment, he's in like a red, I want to say red velour, because that's a very 80s sort of fabric, isn't it? Red velour, or it's a shiny polyester. It's something that would possibly go up in flames if you went down a slide on it.
You mean up like a chippy?
Up like a chippy. If you slid down the stairs on your bottom, it would melt, I think, whatever it's made out of. But it's it's bright red. There's like no detail on it. It's just like, oh, shit tracksuit, shit tracky.
He's just stating it as well, isn't he? He's not a fit lad.
Oh, he's just not someone with any kind of style, really, is he?
No.
And fashion sense. So yeah, red man-made material tracksuit. Louise has got a purple blouse with an open collar, and it's got gold chains, which is very, very of the era, very, very 80s. Yeah, I think women of a certain age, they got to a certain time in their life, and then gold, like there's gold embroidery, and we've got gold chains. Yeah, just a sense of middle-aged about it.
I don't know if she's playing older, like a character older than the actress was, though.
Okay. And that's what they put her in, to make her look older?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, she was only mid-30s, wasn't she?
Yeah.
So, maybe even younger than 35, so, she's 10 years younger than me.
I've got a really hard time deciding on ages around this era, only because my only point of reference would have been my mum, who would have worn clothes like that, despite the fact that she would have been younger than me. And I don't dress like that, and it's that weird
juxtaposition,
of ages and eras.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was gold chains.
There was.
Kirk, not in his white jacket in this episode. It's the grey speckled jacket again, which I think he suits that better than the white one. The white one gives me the ick, but the grey one I think is quite sedate and handsome.
Mm-hmm.
Ralph's shiny suit. His silver shiny suit that he's got on with his usual clothes underneath when he's a DJ. Quite cute. But it's almost like, tinfoil, isn't it, his jacket? It's just a weird silver. You must associate that with, that's what you wear when you're a flashy DJ.
Yeah.
You wear something that's just ridiculous.
Either that or Kirk's outfitted him and said, this is what you need to wear.
You need this on. We see Kirk later on, though, in his white suit with a red shirt and a red pocket square, which is dated, and it does make me feel a bit weird. But yeah, at least he's coordinated with his little pocket square. Kate is in a long blue suit jacket at the disco, looking really cute, and I think it might have been something that we've seen before when she sort of spends time out of the one-to-one club. We see her in this like dress jacket. But yeah, looking good. They all put the effort in anyway, I think, for for Dazzling Darren's roadshow.
They're the only ones in the pub, though, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's a sad do, really.
It is a sad do. And that's it for this week.
Okay, so did you pick an MVP from all that lot?
I definitely did, yes.
The same as mine.
It was Kirk this week.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Kurt's going to win it. Kurt's going to win it.
I think he is. He just seemed to step up when it came to helping Ralph. He stepped up as a friend. He was a bit clumsy, but very caring of Kate.
Yeah.
And just seemed one of the most genuine in this episode.
And he actually showed he's got that radar for people as well.
Yeah.
I mean, he might not be very nice to them himself, unintentionally, but it seemed like he knew straight away, even before this guy, it became apparent this guy was married, he knew that he was a creepy guy.
Yeah. I don't think he's mean. I don't think there's any intention in his weirdness and bluntness and meanness sometimes. I think as a character, I think he's just socially inept.
He's just a child, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah. There's never any malice, I don't think.
Yes, same here. For all those reasons, Kirk MVP. Yeah. So he wins it again. He must be winning. I'm sure he is.
I think so.
Hey, that's the kind of guy he is.
Hey, guy.
So, next week we're at the end of Series 1. It's Episode 7 and the last one of Series 1. Do you know what it's called, Al?
I do. This is Undercover. It was at the end of March in 86 that this was on TV for the first time.
This is a very Kirk-centric episode, isn't it?
Oh, it is. Yes, I've had a sneak revisit already to this, and I'm looking forward to deep diving.
Yes, I think it's a good one. And probably if you're listening to this podcast, you know what the spoiler is, because you'll have watched Dear John in the 80s. You're not going to listen to a podcast about Dear John, having never watched Dear John, are you?
I agree.
So I'm sure everyone who likes this shit that we do every week, at least, will be looking forward to it.
Yeah, you know what we're talking about already.
So yeah, we'll see you then. Tune in and we'll have a good dissection of Kirk's and Merritt's stroke Eric Morris.
Ooh, can't wait.
I'll see you then.
Yeah.
Dear John, by the time you read these lines, I'll be gone. Life goes on, right or wrong. Now it's all been said and done, dear John. Seems we've sung love's last song, dear John.